There's a particular smell that only true car lovers can recognize, a mixture of oil, leather, steel, and nostalgia. When you step inside the Montana Auto Museum in Deer Lodge, that smell welcomes you like an old friend. It's not just the scent of machinery, it's the scent of memory, the perfume of human ambition, and the hum of a century that believed the open road could lead anywhere. Deer Lodge, Montana. A small town framed by snow-capped peaks, just a few miles from where the echoes of the Old West still whisper through pine forests and rusted railway tracks. But inside this quiet town sits one of America's most surprising treasures, a museum that holds more than 160 classic cars, each one a chapter in the story of who we've been and how we've dreamed. It's an unlikely pairing, a state prison and a world-class car museum. The old Montana prison complex, built in the late 1800s, once echoed with the sounds of clanging iron doors and heavy boots. But today, those same stone walls contain something entirely different, the heartbeat of automotive history. The Montana Auto Museum, located inside this historical prison compound, turns that irony into poetry. Behind what were once the cold walls of confinement, the freedom of the open road now takes center stage. It's as if the universe decided to balance the scales. A place once meant to hold men captive now celebrates machines built for liberation. Walking into the main gallery feels like entering a time capsule that starts in 1890. Here stands a Haynes Apperson, one of the earliest gasoline automobiles ever built in the United States. Its spindly wheels and exposed engine look fragile by modern standards, yet in its day, it represented boldness, imagination, and a little madness. Then, as you move deeper, the decades unfold like pages in a history book. The 1913 Ford Model T, the car that put America on wheels. A 1930 Packard, elegant as a ballroom dancer, its polished hood ornament reflecting the golden optimism of the Jazz Age. The post-war Buicks and Chevrolets of the 1950s, gleaming in two-tone colors and chrome, when cars were less about transportation and more about self-expression. The muscle cars of the late 60s and 70s, Mustangs, GTOs, and Camaros, loud, defiant, unapologetically American. Every model in the museum has a story. Some once belonged to Montana families. Others were restored by enthusiasts who saw in a pile of rust the promise of resurrection. Behind every car here is a pair of hands, sometimes old and calloused, sometimes young and curious. The museum owes its collection to decades of dedication from the Frontier Montana Museum Foundation, local car clubs, and countless volunteers. They track down forgotten relics from barns, junkyards, and dusty garages across the state, bringing them back to life with passion rather than profit. One story stands out, that of a 1939 Lincoln Zephyr. It was found abandoned on a ranch, riddled with bullet holes from target practice. Most would have left it to die there, but a group of volunteers spent years restoring it panel by panel until the sleek Art Deco lines shone again under the Deer Lodge sun. Today it stands as a quiet tribute to the idea that beauty deserves a second chance. The Montana Auto Museum isn't just about cars. It's about America's love affair with motion. Each vehicle is a mirror reflecting the era it came from. Our hopes, our fears, our contradictions. The 1930s luxury cars speak of resilience during the Great Depression, opulence as a form of defiance. The wartime Jeeps remind us of sacrifice and grit. The 1950s convertibles are the essence of post-war optimism, America at full throttle, dreaming of tomorrow. The 1970s muscle cars roar with rebellion, the sound of a generation demanding to be heard. Through it all, you realize these aren't just cars, they're emotional machines, vessels carrying the stories of families, first dates, road trips, and homecomings. For travelers driving the I-90 corridor, the Montana Auto Museum is a surprise gem, a detour that turns into a pilgrimage. It's a reminder that the story of the automobile is also the story of the American West, of distance, daring, and discovery. Montana's wide landscapes shaped the need for tough, reliable vehicles, while the endless sky inspired the belief that there was always one more horizon to chase. And that's the paradox. In a place once defined by confinement, visitors now encounter the ultimate symbol of freedom, the car. It's hard not to smile when you see the sparkle of a Cadillac tail fin under the old prison lights. The walls may be made of stone, but everything inside them speaks of the open road. Before you leave, take a moment to stand still in the final gallery, maybe near the 1965 Mustang Fastback, the Corvette Stingray, or the 1936 Auburn Boattail Speedster. Listen closely. The engines are silent now, but they still whisper stories. Of families packing up for a Sunday picnic, of lovers kissing at a red light, of soldiers coming home, of fathers teaching their children how to shift gears, of a century that believed, with stubborn faith, that technology and beauty could coexist on four wheels. As you step back into the Montana sunlight, the sound of distant traffic feels different. Every car that passes could be a time traveler, carrying echoes of what you've just seen. Because in Deer Lodge, Montana, surrounded by mountains and memories, the past isn't gone. It just idles quietly, waiting for someone to turn the key. So if you ever find yourself crossing Montana, slow down. Take the exit to Deer Lodge. Step through the gates of the old prison and you'll discover something rare. A museum where history isn't behind glass, it's under the hood. The Montana Auto Museum reminds us that freedom doesn't always come with wings. Sometimes it comes with wheels.